My name is Fiona, and together with my husband Michael, we run Cloughan Farm and Cookery School just here on the Longford-Westmeath border, not too far away from the beautiful village of Abershrew. Normally we provide on-site here hands-on classes both on farm and in our cookery school, but like so many, we've had to go online as well. We have been very kindly asked by Westmeath Library Services to provide over the next 7 weeks healthy recipes and to share with you some of our tips and some of our ways of finding inspiration in somewhat that when your store cupboard can become somewhat stagnant. So we'll be sharing with you some inspiration that hopefully will lift your culinary table and your meals throughout the week. So as I said, for the next 7 weeks, we're going to be sharing with you some healthy eating recipes and tips, and we're really looking forward to it. So today, for our first recipe, to share our first recipe with you, I'm going to make a lovely spiced parsnip soup. Now we have just digging the last of our parsnips in the garden here at Cloughan Farm. This time of year, any root vegetable, turnips, parsnips, especially turnips and parsnips, really benefit from the little spell of frost. It gives them that lovely sweet taste. So I've just freshly dug some parsnips this morning in the garden. So I'm just going to start with top and tail. And this is a lovely spiced parsnip soup. Really seasonal, really healthy, absolutely delicious. So I'm just going to top and tail, and we're just going to peel it here now. Our parsnips, and I'm just roughly going to chop them up like this, because what we're going to do with these parsnips, we're going to roast them. And the reason that I like to roast them, it brings out the sweetness in the vegetables. I would have a preference of roasting most vegetables, whether it's carrots, butternut, squash, anything like that, in the oven. Now, if you don't have the facility of an oven, you can of course just pop in a little bit of oil and butter in the bottom of a large saucepan, and just chop up your vegetables as I'm doing here, and just sweat them off with a lid in your saucepan, and you can make your soup that way as well. Absolutely delicious as well, but it's just my preference is to roast them off like this. It brings out a little bit of extra sweetness. And the reason, as I said, I was picking the parsnips because they're so seasonal. They are very affordable and absolutely, they're very, very good source of food. They're very, very good. So I just finished dicing them up like this, and we're going to coat them in a little bit of honey as well, just to give them a little bit of extra sweetness. And then we will pop them into the oven for about 25-30 minutes at about 220 degrees, and so we get a nice little roast on them and a little char just starting on the edges. So that should roughly do there. Now, and just about a tablespoon of honey. That's roughly it in there, and I just add in a little bit of oil. Just kind of helps it to mix in a little bit easier, just like that, and in with my hand, mix it all together. And the reason I prefer to do this in a bowl rather than doing it on my tray when it goes into the oven is because that I can mix it together, that my parsnips, like here I have my lined roasting tin with parchment paper, and if I was trying to do it on the tray, they'd be going this way and that way, whereas in the bowl it helps to keep them together. And always when I'm coating vegetables for roasting or anything like that, I always do them in a bowl. So I just basically, that's them all covered. So just pop them along like that, and always when you're roasting in the oven, a single layer, because if they're too crowded they'll start sweating, and you're not roasting, you're only sweating there. So just along like that. Now into our oven. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to dice an onion, and for this recipe we need 1 large onion. So first of all, we start and we just remove the top, not too far. Don't be going down here wasting the onion, just enough so you can remove the top stalk there off it, and then just come along here at the root, and again just dice it along like that, and then just come along with the side of your knife, and a good sharp knife is very important, and just make an incision, and we just remove the skin just like that. Sometimes it all comes together in one piece, and sometimes it will break your heart. But yeah, it's all coming there handy enough. So let's just take that off our skins. So then you have your onion skin removed. So what you want to do is basically go down through that root, just there. So down through the root, like so, and just turn it on the one half on a flat side, and with your knife again, just cut into it, just about that much, leaving that much intact, because that'll hold it together. And again, just as well, again, just leaving a little bit at the end. So then you just come along and just slice it down like that. We're not going the whole way through, we're leaving about the width of your finger there at the end of it. And just dice it down like that, okay? And then you turn it around, and then you have lovely diced onion. So we're going to sweat these off now. We're going to put a little bit of oil and butter into our saucepan, and we're going to sweat these off. Again, it's to make sure we maximize the flavour out of all your vegetables, and that's the whole aim of maximising flavour from all of your food, but in particular here the vegetables today. For this recipe, we're also using 3 lovely bulbs, fat bulbs of garlic. Garlic is so good for your immune system. We don't eat enough garlic in this country. It is absolutely, it just gives so much flavour to any dish that you're making. So basically what we do is we just top like our onion, and we tail a piece of garlic, and just sometimes the skin, again like the onion, it comes off handy enough. So I'm just removing the skins from all of these first. So that's one way of doing it. And then the other way is top and tail, and then just with the back of your knife, just give it a little squash like that. And what you're doing there is you're loosening up the skin. So you have 2 different ways of doing it. Okay. So then, again, with the back of your knife, just give it a good bash, like that, okay? And then just chop it up and down like this, okay? That's, you could grate your garlic, is absolutely fine. If you have a grater, use it. I just don't bother, because then I just kind of say, like, it's another thing to be washed up. So again, just give it a good bash, just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a paste out of these garlics, okay? So we'll just do the final one there. And I'm just going to sprinkle. So we just give them a rough chop, like that. And if you sow garlic in your garden, you can always, normally you sow garlic in December, the shortest day of the year, and you harvest on the longest day, but you can still sow garlic in springtime. It's absolutely fine. Really hardy vegetable, and you won't go wrong. So just sprinkle a little bit of salt along the top. And what's that's going to do, it's like salt on a frosty path. It'll extract the moisture out of it, and it'll leave it easier. So we just leave that there for a couple of minutes, and we'll come back to it and we'll paste it then. So after a couple of minutes, you just come along with the flat part of your knife. An ordinary bread or butter knife will do this as well for you. Kids absolutely love doing this. So just make a paste of it. And the reason I like to make a paste is because we maximise flavour. That's one important word that I'll be using for the next 7 weeks. Maximising the flavour to get the best value out of your ingredients. So that's just a paste, just like that. And we're going to add that in along now after we're going to sweat off our onions. So I have the saucepan heating up here, and I'm going to add in a little bit of oil and butter, just like that. And we add in a little bit of oil. I use rapeseed oil here at the cookery school, but if you want, you could use sunflower oil. It's absolutely fine. So we add in our onions. First of all, our pan is nice and warm. You can hear the sizzle. And we just give them a little stir around, just like that. And we let them sweat off now for a couple of minutes. So just after I added in the oil and the onions, I'm now going to add in a little knob of butter. And again, this just brings out a lovely flavour in your onions, and a lovely sweet flavour. Now I sweated off our onions for about 5 minutes. They become kind of they become a little bit limp. A little bit limp is the best way to describe what I'm looking for here. So into that, I'm going to add in our garlic. Pasted up garlic. And in here I have some spices. So the spices I have here is some turmeric, ginger, we have cumin and coriander. Now over the 7 weeks I'll be showing you actually how to toast and grind your own spices. We toast and grind our own spices, but this is what's going to flavour in here. Now you could also add in, if you wish, a little bit of chilli into this. So we're just going to add them in there and just let them cook off for about a minute. And you can see the lovely colours now, and you can get the lovely smell now coming into the kitchen when you add them in. So when you put that along with your parsnips, absolutely gorgeous, and some homemade bread, delicious. So I'm just going to take out the, oh my glasses are fogging up, the parsnips, and that's exactly what we're looking for there. You see that bit of charring around the edges? That brings out the flavour, so that's exactly what we're looking for. So now, back to our saucepan where we had our onions, our garlic and our spices sweating off. We're just going to remove, just be careful now, just remove the parchment paper and just let our parsnips all slide in there. Now I also have some stock heating up. So into this now, I just want to take away that for a second there and put our heat on here at the back. Okay, and into that now I'm going to add up our warmed up stock. Okay, so it is important to put in warm stock. So if you're roasting vegetables and you're at this stage and you put in cold stock in there, it just makes it takes away your flavour from your soup. So you don't want that, you want to avoid that. So you want to get this to come to a boil as quickly as possible. So I have our stock got in there, I have it on a full boil. Once we get that to a boil, we let it simmer, or kind of a rolling boil, for about 5 or 10 minutes, as long as, until I'm quite happy that our parsnips are cooked. So we have the parsnips on a nice, if you want to come in there, Michael, you can just see that rolling boil there, that simmer. It's a strong simmer. So that's what I like to, once the stock has come to the boil, that's what I like to continue on at until our parsnips are cooked. And what you just do is just simply take one of the parsnips and you just basically cut through with a knife. You see the way that can go through very easily there, just like that. That's cooked. Now, I'm just going to switch that off. The most important thing about any soup is once your vegetables are cooked, switch off the heat, because there's no need to keep cooking and cooking and cooking. You're cooking the goodness out of your soup. So we'll just take that to one side here. And here I have a stick blender. Now I have a preference for the stick blender rather than the jug blenders. Sometimes if there's a little fraction of a cut or a hairline crack in them, because your soup is warm, it can start leaking on you. And sometimes if the seal is not just in bottom correctly, they can start leaking on you. And I just think the stick blenders, I think 10-15 euro in your local hardwares generally is the price of them. Now you can go up, it depends on the make and model you buy, of course, but any average blender there, this one is no great shakes, it's no big name, but I mean I've had it for years and it's fine. So in we go into our soup. And we just basically, we're going to liquidize our soup.
Go.
Now our soup is nicely mixed up. Sometimes it's a help if you just tilt your saucepan a little bit to the side. And then half this amount of cream here, there's 100 ml of cream. So you could add in milk if you preferred a little bit of milk in there. So we just give it a stir up, just to bind it all. Or if you didn't want to add in milk or cream, you can leave it out. Just add in a little bit more stock into it. Just give it a little mix just to mix. That's it all incorporated there. And what I'm going to do now is, always very important at the end, is check for seasoning. So just give it a check. I think I'll add in a little pinch of salt and a little pinch of pepper. Now it's very important, don't overpower your food with taste of salt and pepper. You want it to be a flavour, it blends in, not stands out. So if you're the type of person that's sitting down to your dinner and before you even taste you're looking for the salt, then you need to be pulling back on that one. For 2021 you need to be pulling back on it. So we'll just give it another little taste. That's lovely. The lovely flavour of parsnip, the delicious flavour there of honey as well coming through, and with the background of the spices, absolutely gorgeous. So then we're going to pour this in here. Just move this out of the way. Into our bowl. And here I've made, and over the coming weeks I'm going to show you how to make this bread as well. It's a lovely white soda herb bread, absolutely gorgeous, really simple to make. So we just serve our soup in our bowl, and we just garnish it then with a few little bits of toasted, few little pieces of toasted cumin seeds. So just about that much there. Lovely colour. The turmeric on it gives it that nice colour. So we just remove that little bit of spoil there. So I have a few little cumin seeds toasted. So just garnish along the top like that. Don't overdo it. Okay. And the other little tip I wanted to give you is soup like that. We have about 2 litres of soup in there. Absolutely brilliant. If you wanted to make that and have it in your freezer, I do keep the empty milk bottles and give them a good wash out. Allow your soup to cool and pour it into your bottle, and you have your soup just ready for the family to take out of your freezer the night before, the day before, whatever. And a really good way of recycling your milk cartons. So that is our lovely parsnip, and as I said earlier, very seasonal, very good. You will find in most of the dishes that I will be creating over the next 7 weeks, we'll be using a lot of, we won't be using that, you know, we're trying to avoid the processed food and focus more on real food. So you've seen me there using butter because I want to focus on real food. The less processed our body is digesting, the better for our gut and for our mental health, for everything. So that's it. Until next Friday, I look forward to seeing you then. But if you have any suggestions or anything you'd like to see me doing here at Cloughan Farm Cookery School, just contact Edel at the Westmead Library Services, and she'll be only too delighted to correspond and to relay your information to me. Okay, for now, stay safe everyone, and thank you for watching.